In this video, I talked to Jon Dykstra from the Fat Stacks blog. John's a good friend of mine, a fellow bald man, and he's crushing it out there. He publishes some income reports, and I encourage you to check those out. There will be a link in the description. In this particular video, we talk about a few different topics. So number one, kind of interesting, is John gets like 1 million or more visitors to his sites per month, but he claims he's not so great at SEO, which seems funny, but he explains it. Then we talk about a few other topics, including image SEO and a few things you could do to optimize your images for SEO, as well as a few mistakes that people can make. We also talk about content that attracts links, which doesn't sound that hard to do overall, but it is one of those skills that you'll have to develop and sort of test and tweak to see what works for you. So quick plug for John's podcast. I'm a listener. They're very sort of concise, bite-sized episodes most of the time. He publishes pretty often. So I highly encourage you to check it out. And of course, the Fat Stacks blog. So if you are new to the channel here, have a look at some of the other videos. And if you like what you see, please subscribe. And by the way, if you do have questions for John, leave a comment, just ask. And it is highly likely, almost 100% likely, that John will be back on the channel again on the podcast. And we can answer those questions then. All right, let's send it to the interview now. Hey, what's going on? It's Doug Cunnington here, and I'm with my good buddy, Jon Dykstra. How are you doing today?
Hey, really well, Doug. Yeah, thanks for having me.
And we're just going to have like a casual conversation. I've been listening to your podcast a lot lately. You have some great titles, which I'm not surprised you have some good titles out there, but we're just going to go through those things and just it's a behind the scenes sort of chat. People seem to dig these, and I like talking to you, and we may as well get some content out of this. So for people that don't know you, John, just quick intro. What are you up to?
These days, I'm basically an online publisher. I own some content sites and been building them up over the years, and that's really my focus. FatStack's kind of a fun thing I do where I just blog about what I'm doing. It's kind of a business blog, but my other sites, I think there's about 9 right now. I focus only on about 4 or 5. It's 9's tough, and just mostly informational, little bit of product promotion on them, but focus on informational content, and just been growing them over the years. And I just really enjoy publishing content for website visitors.
Awesome. And you're a recovering lawyer, I guess, right?
Yeah, that about sums it up. Yeah, practiced law for a number of years. And this is back when websites for small business were just getting off the ground. And so I was with a small firm and needed a site. So I got a site built, and I didn't build it. I had no clue. I didn't know any of this stuff, and hired a company who did it. Fortunately, I hired a really good company, and they actually suggested blogging, which was really novel at the time. And so they sort of set up the basic brochure site, and they said, okay, well, we've got this, we had this built-in CMS, which was at the time very progressive for like business site developers, and which was essentially what WordPress was. It wasn't WordPress though. And they said, well, just blog on this, write articles about law and what your potential clients might like, and just provide a lot of information. They even said this was cool. They said, you guys should write a book, little books that you hand out. So I did that too, in our practice areas that we prefer to focus on. And so we did this book. We did a free giveaway for visitors to the site. If they signed up for it, we'd mail it out to them, and built up the blog, and it really worked. Of course, it was quite a bit easier back then because there was very little competition. Anyways, that's where I got the blogging bug, and I was just having loads of fun with it, and went off into a different niche just for fun after that, just to see what it would do. And well, here I am today.
Awesome. Very cool. And let's get into some of these topics. So you have quite a few websites, you have a portfolio, and you're getting a huge number of visitors per month, and you can share that number in a second, but you also claim that you're bad at SEO. So can you explain how you get so much traffic, yet you maybe don't feel like your skills are very good in the SEO area?
Yeah, right. No, it's actually true. This thought came to me because I got a buddy who is part of an SEO agency, and I bounce questions off him. He's really nice. He helps me out. But I mean, this guy knows SEO, and so does he's got a partner, and he knows SEO, the technical stuff, the offsite stuff. They know it inside out. And I'm asking him these really simple questions, and I'm thinking to myself, like, I should really know this stuff by now, right? It's been 10 years. I should know this stuff, and like this is like SEO 101, but I don't know it. And so I sort of chuckled to myself. It's like, well, here I am, this publisher online, and my biggest traffic source is Google search, and I don't know the answers to these questions. And so it occurred to me, wow, so anyways, I don't know, any given month, it ranges from between 1 and 1.3, 1.4 million visitors a month across my sites, most of them to one really big site and then sprinkled across the others. And so it occurred to me, I managed to do this without really knowing SEO. And like, I don't do SEO for clients. I'm not interested in it. And so the reason I say I don't really know SEO is, well, first off, I don't really do any offsite stuff. Now, I know about it, okay? I know enough that I could probably do a lot of damage to my site. So I don't build links. I don't do a lot of promotion. Maybe FastAx is probably the most promotion I do, which is I know folks like you, and we chat and stuff, but it's not really like out to just outright promote. But with my niche sites, none of that. And so I don't do any of the offsite stuff except for the usual automated blast SEO channels, which is almost not even worth it. And then with the on-site technical stuff, like, I have Search Console set up, but I never dig in. The only real reason I do that is because SEO said it's a good thing to do with a sitemap submitted. That makes sense to me, so I get that. Fortunately, there are tools to do all this stuff. I couldn't create a sitemap if I had to. I wouldn't even know how to do that. I rely on the Yoast plugin. And like on-site stuff in terms of like keyword density and link text to put in and all of these technical factors that SEOs talk about, I know nothing about. I don't read about it. I'm not interested in it. So what I do is I don't fashion myself as like a niche site SEO person or any of that. I really just fashion myself as an online publisher. And I've been using that term more and more. It's a little bit different, I think, in my mind than a blogger. I think a blog is, it's really interchangeable, but a blog is really sort of almost like more of a personal site, like FatSox. Like I kind of blog about what am I doing this week, sort of thing. Whereas a online publisher is more like what your online magazine type site. It could be a news site, it could be an evergreen content site, and really, I'm just a publisher providing content. And the hope is that the content's good enough that it will get traffic via Google, and that's all I do. And the most SEO I really do is I pay attention to what's working, and then I'm like, oh, okay, well, these topics are working on these sites, so I do more of them related. Whether it's a type of article that seems to be working, and by that I mean like an article concept, right? Like product reviews. That's a type of article. We're all fairly familiar with that. Or a tutorial type article. That's an article concept. Or maybe it's topical. I tend to enter really broad, large niches where there's many sub niches within. And so let's say a particular topic is performing really well. I'll look at that and go, okay, well, I could really flesh that out a lot more. I could add another 20 articles and create this really in-depth section on that. So that's about the extent of what I do. And I could do a little bit of damage with Ahrefs and keyword research tools. And I suppose I've become pretty adept at keyword research and really digging in, looking for the really low competition stuff. But that's about the extent of it. So, if you asked any SEO, if I had a 5-minute conversation with them, especially one who knows what they're doing, they would say, well, you don't really know that much. And I would 100% agree with that. I'm okay with that. And I think the point is you don't need to be like an SEO expert to become a reasonably successful online publisher. I focus on the publishing, not on the SEO.
Got it. And I recently met up with a friend online. I had not met him in person, but I got to sit down and have a beer with him a couple months ago. And he was asking me a lot of SEO questions, especially like sort of cutting edge things. And I was like, I don't know. Again, it was like 5 or 6 questions where I was like, you know what? I'm not really sure. I don't read blogs. I really don't consume that much information. I usually just do the same boring stuff, the things that I'm good enough at. And I think that's what you're saying too. It's like, you know how to do the publishing, you know how to find content that people like, and you're not like bogged down with the things that you're probably not too interested in learning about, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And you brought up an interesting point about not reading a whole lot. That's kind of ironic given that you publish a lot of really terrific content in this sphere. I really like it. But the reason I like yours, and this is a point, is that I'm actually fairly judicious about what I read in terms of like business books, which I generally typically avoid altogether. But in terms of blogs and email lists and so forth, and I really seek out and will restrict my reading to the content that aligns with my current strategy, because I don't want to get distracted. I can get distracted like literally with one email, and it's happened. It's like, oh wow, I'm getting great results with this, and it's something totally different than what I'm doing. I know nothing about it yet. What I do is I actually go and I've wasted literally weeks going down some rabbit hole unrelated to what I'm doing. And it's akin to starting over, which is ridiculous because I should just stick with what I'm doing. So I now I've made a decision. I read blogs and email lists that are talking about what I'm currently doing. And if it's not, if they're focused, it's not that their stuff doesn't work or that I got a problem with it. It's just, it helps me focus to just stick with reading people doing the similar stuff to me.
For sure. And to that point, there's a lot of misinformation. So you also had a story of how I think you wasted some huge amount of money from like misinformation. Can you just kind of give us the background on that one?
Yeah. Well, when I used to never use display ads. Most of my revenue on my content sites is generated from display ads. I use various ad networks. But that wasn't always the case. I mean, I got started in this with affiliate marketing, as a lot of people do, and that made sense to me. I do like the affiliate marketing model. I think it's great. It's results oriented, and you basically earn what you can perform. And so, but I had read a lot of blogs that were talking about, AdSense and display ads are a total waste of money, and there's way better ways to monetize a site. And I was new. I didn't know any better, right? And it's like, oh, okay, well, they know more than me. So I never explored display ads, which was a huge mistake because I actually had sites at the time that probably would have done reasonably well with it. They were affiliate marketing oriented, but I always did like to publish non-affiliate content, like informational content. But this content would be on these affiliate sites, and they didn't generate affiliate sales. They just attracted traffic, and that's all well and good. But the problem is anyone who says display ads are like the worst way to monetize a site, typically they have their sites focused within the business realm, particularly like the how to blog realm or how to do SEO realm. And these are great niches, and there's a lot of, and they probably know these niches really, really well, and lots of good information. But the problem is AdSense and display ads are probably not the best option for these types of niches. But for a lot of other niches, like affiliate marketing is not viable. And really your best bet is display ads. And so my point is this, is like, try different things, just, and try to understand, like if somebody says something is declaring essentially like display ads are bad, well, try to look at why they would say that. What is their business model? And if you're doing something totally different, it's not apples to apples. And unfortunately, I followed that advice for a number of years. And I got into display ads by accident. Like I could still actually remember the day when I had this site. It was a new site. This is 2014. And I started getting a lot of traffic to it. And my intention was it was going to be an affiliate site, and because that's all I knew. But I wasn't making a nickel on affiliate commissions, despite, I think I had like over 1,000 visitors a day, maybe more. And back then there was like Facebook traffic was awesome. So I think it was actually quite a bit more. Facebook traffic was really easy and free and cheap if you did the ads back then. So I was doing that. And so I just decided, oh, you know what? I've got this AdSense account. I had it. I never really used it. And so I just threw up a couple of AdSense ads on the thing. And it made like over $100 like within a day. And like I just threw like two up there just without even any thought. And I thought, whoa, you know, like, okay, ditch the affiliate focus. This is going display ads. And that's when I got into it. And I haven't looked back. And that was a big turning point in what I'm doing. And I'm like, this is terrific. I can publish on any topic within my niches and monetize that content. And I could focus on content that with back then, like, oh, well, this will probably do really well on Facebook. And so, you know, post it, you know, the hordes of traffic from Facebook and make money off that. And that was eye-opening. It was great.
Very cool. And I have to admit, I'm part of the group that gives some of that advice. So, but let me explain. So
Yeah, that's it.
I talk a lot about affiliate marketing, and most of the time, I'm giving the advice to people who maybe are getting way less traffic than you just mentioned. They're getting like maybe 15 visitors a day, and they have issues elsewhere, and they're thinking, hey, I should put ads on my site to squeeze a little bit more revenue out of 15 visitors per day, when they need more traffic. They need more content. They need more SEO things going on. They just need more traffic. So usually I try to encourage people to like wait until they're ready. I tell them some probably arbitrary number, like wait till you get a few hundred visitors a day, and then go to your informational content and then put some ads there to test it out and experiment. And I know several of my students right now, I think they're making about a third of their revenue from their informational post, and they're using display ad networks to, you know, put ads not everywhere, but just on those informational posts. And they're like, I wish I would have done it a little sooner, but they listened to my advice where I was like, just make sure you get the other stuff right first. You don't want to cannibalize your affiliate sales where maybe you're making more money from that. So yeah, I'm part of the problem, but I have some logic at least behind it. So any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think if you have, yeah, you definitely want to distinguish on a site. I mean, if I do affiliate stuff still to this day, it's not a focus, but I do it. And so if I do have a page on a site that's generating lots of revenue from affiliate, yeah, I'll turn the ads off on that, and that makes sense. And so, yeah, you know, if you're starting a site out and it's got a lot of buyer intent content on there, for whether it's Amazon or some software or something like that, yeah, I mean, obviously display ads are not your best bet, because a high converting page with affiliate promotions is going to out earn display ads like all the time, right? It's just no contest. My point is if you like to publish outside of the whole buyer intent realm, where you're not mentioning products and not linking out, then display ads are your best bet. And further that is when you look beyond buyer intent keywords, world of keyword opportunities becomes available. And that's what I like about it. You're not hedged in with, okay, well, my site's about sneakers and I'm going to focus on, you know, just writing content that is going to promote sneakers with really high conversion rates. You're pretty limited with keywords. There's a lot, but you're still limited. And let's face it, that stuff is boring to write, like deadly boring, unless you are a real sneaker freak. But if you think more broadly, such as basketball, perhaps in general, I mean, you could cover the sneakers in depth and have a whole section on sneakers and do the affiliate link thing. But then you could have tons of content about basketball generally. And to me, that would be more interesting. It's like, well, if I'm into basketball, that's kind of a fun site to write, including the sneaker aspect. And then you can monetize that with display ads.
Right on. And I think, yeah, you explained it well, so I'm not even going to try and repeat what you said. So I'm going to jump away from our outline just for a second here, but you'll be fine. This is not completely out of left field. So I recently bought a site, and I was like migrating it over. And this morning, I'm just having so many technical issues. Like the site's down. Like the only thing that I wanted was not have the site go down, but I'm having issues. Like migrating my backup, like cloning system that I've used many times before. Like I'm not able to connect the FTP and, DNS, fill in a bunch of other like tech acronyms there. But John, do you have any stories where you had like a tech issue and it just was so frustrating?
Oh, well, yeah, I'm terrible at this stuff. You even say DNS or name servers, and I'm just like, I use Kinsta hosting with amazing customer support. I'm just like, open it up. You got to help me out here. How do I do this, right? Like, because I register with GoDaddy, and then I got hosting there, I got Cloudflare, and it's like all supposed to be integrated. And to this day, I don't even know how to. I can barely, like. It seems like starting a site is hard to get all this stuff going. So if you're frustrated getting your site going, and it's driving you crazy with all this tech stuff, just jumble through it. Usually, most hosting companies have really good support. Even the lower cost ones, I'm amazed at the live chat. Like, I still have Bluehost account, and I'll hit them up on live chat when I got to deal with this stuff. They're very helpful. But probably my worst tech story is with my biggest site. This is gonna be a couple of years ago. It was doing really well then, and I got some sort of malware attack on this thing. Like, it was totally brutal. In fact, it was displaying as a .ru. No, I didn't. That's not the site, right? They basically took it over, and I could still go in there and deal with the content and everything, but it was somehow shown as a .ru, and it was completely hacked, and I had no idea what to do. And within a fairly short time after that, it was de-indexed from Google. Like, they basically told me, Search Console, your site's like de-indexed. I'm like, whoa. I had a pretty good idea what was to hack and nothing else. So I thought, okay, well, I think I could fix this. But I was pretty nervous about that, obviously, right? So I think I hired security at that point. Like, they have services that can like just, they got the freebie sort of thing, but I had to pay them. And they went in and they just cleaned the thing out. And I was actually really amazed because Google re-indexed it very, very quickly. I think I had to submit a review for it once security had done their thing. And I wrote a little thing, security did all blah, 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 blah. And I mean, within a week, it was re-indexed, which I was really impressed about, because Google is sort of known to us as like this big black hole with no customer support. You never hear anything, no matter what you ask them. And yeah, but sure enough, I mean, it was a quick response. It was re-indexed. All my rankings were golden. Like, they didn't really move. So I mean, I feel really fortunate I came out as I did. But I'll tell you, I think it was about 4 or 5 weeks that it took, like, dealing with that whole mess. That's by far the worst tech issue I ever had with a site. These attacks, like, recently I dealt with it again. It wasn't nearly as bad, but BuzzFeed had a really good article recently about how a lot of WordPress site owners are. What's happening is there's some sort of attack creating these. So if you have a site, check it. But they're creating users, admin users, and then they're going in and they're injecting outbound spam links. And they're hard to find because they usually target older content, which you wouldn't normally go and like check. Like, it's not like we go check all our content every day to make sure it's good, right? We assume it's good. And I was just doing some work on some old posts, and I found these spam links. I'm like, what's this, right? And then I looked and I found this rogue user was created. And then I'm like, so anyways, I had to hire WordFence. They have a cleanup service for that, which was very cool. And they cleaned it. They got rid of the links. They cleaned it all up. But that was a recent thing. I mean, the site didn't get de-indexed, but I mean, who wants a bunch of? I had no idea how many spam outbound links were. I think there were over 20 though on the site, and that's not cool. So another tech problem. These things never stop.
Do you know if it was like an old plugin that had a vulnerability, or do you know how they got in?
Oh, probably because I'm super lazy and I don't update my stuff as quickly as I should. So I added managed WP to my sites, which updates everything weekly. So yeah, it's my fault. I'm telling you, the tech stuff, I'm irresponsible. So it was my fault, like, for sure, right? Like, good word of advice: keep your stuff updated. And I installed WordFence. Also, I guess they have additional security measures against fake users being created and so forth. So far, seems good. I use the free version; seems to be good.
Cool. And another plug for managed WP. So I use them too. I think it's like $1 or $2 per month per site to have like offsite backups. You can restore it at a push of a button. So I haven't, knock on wood, I haven't had any issues. And a lot of my sites are at SiteGround, and they have a malware scanning add-on that I always get, and it checks it. I think either it's weekly or daily, I can't remember. And if I ever have an issue, I know I can go back to manage WP and restore from the point before there was an issue. And then, I mean, things are updated as they should be. And I'm pretty lean on plugins because I know there's always a vulnerability. Like the more things you have going on, like the more issues you can have. So scary.
Yeah, I'm a plugin hog. Another problem.
Oh yeah. How many do you usually have like on a baseline site?
30.
I try to keep it to about 10 or 11, and usually like 3 of those are security in some way or another. So did they slow your site down? I guess you're at Kinsta, so they're rocking it pretty good, right?
Probably do. I just can't seem to let go of them. But do as I say, not what I do. Keep the plugins to a minimum. And here's the thing. Here's it goes back to this distraction thing. You know, some cool little plugin comes out, you set it up, and then, you know, you deploy it across your content, and it's cool. It does what it says, but it's another plugin. And then it's like, oh, well, I don't want to get rid of it because I kind of like what it does. Now, if I would have just never bothered trying it in the first place, then I wouldn't have this problem. But that's how I end up with 30 plus plugins.
Gotcha. And one thing that I had a friend, and he would, you know, get the functionality of a plugin, but then he was hiring a WordPress developer to like hard code it into his like WordPress core files or whatever. So it would be, I'm just going to make up the file. I don't quite know. It's like main.php. It's like in that file or something like that. So it's hard coded, loads faster, removes the issues. So
that's interesting.
Yeah. And I've dabbled with that just a touch because I have a technical background. So I've added a few pieces of code for example, no indexing your archive, like blog roll. So it's like,
Right.
so, and that's just like 2 lines of code, and it runs faster. So I don't have to use another plugin to do that functionality. So it is dangerous though. You can like destroy your whole site by messing with a PHP. So
I've done that too.
Yeah.
Big white wall. Uh-oh.
Yep. And then, then the support from your hosting company comes in really handy.
Yes.
All right, let's shift gears into more like SEO kind of thing. So this is something I know that you're good at. So image SEO. A few of your sites have quite a few images. So can you give us like the top couple things that you can suggest that a lot of people maybe miss with image SEO?
Yeah, I do use a lot of images. Filling out the alt text field very descriptively, I think helps a lot. And don't try to manipulate, like, you know, don't just put in keywords that aren't related to the image. I just describe the image. That's it. Here's the image, here's what it's about. So that's number one. Obviously, like, optimize them so that they're pretty small files. Like when I started with an image site, I was uploading like images that were 5,000 pixels wide and like 2 megabytes, which was insane, and it would take forever to load. And I wonder why doesn't my site load fast? Anyways, you learn, right? So now I resize everything no bigger than 1,000 pixels wide and optimize them down to like 150, 200 kilobytes. Even that's probably a bit big. The latest development with image SEO, which I like, is WebP format for images. It doesn't work in Safari, but for Chrome and I think Firefox, it shows up. That format loads images really fast, and you can get WebP with like Short Pixel plugin. I think Imagify also does the same. Ezoic has a site speed thing. They will do WebP format. So there's lots of options to do that. But basically they can actually turn existing images into that format. They load faster. It seems to be the latest format. So that's a big one. And I've done that across all my sites. In terms of some images, I like images because, especially on visual sites, because they can attract a lot of links. Mainly because people rip them off and then source link it. So that's worked out well in terms of link building because other people just take them. I don't care. They can have them. In terms of, another question I get asked a lot is, I hate left and right aligning. Back when there was only desktop It was great, right? You could do these nice, left align 300 pixel wide image, and then text would wrap around it and look cool and all that. Don't do that. With mobile, it makes a total mess. What you end up with like a real thin strip of text on the right, or on tablet, who knows what it looks like. So these days, what I do is I just go full size. Like on desktop, it's the full width of the column, which is usually like anywhere from like 700 to 800 pixels, and then in mobile, it'll take up the full width as well. You don't get any of that weird text wrapping. I think those days are done. I do the same with ads, by the way. I don't align ads left or right. I just like go center and full width. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Use them. Use images, I think. Don't steal them, though. Copyright trolls are out there in force. And use the stock image sites. Take your own photos. That's the best thing to do. I'm telling you, if you're into like I know, Doug, you do Amazon affiliate stuff. Buy the products you're writing about, and you can literally take 30 images of your own. I use an iPhone. They're not the best images in the world. I'm certainly not a pro photographer, but I'll take them, and they're good enough. And I think they do two things. First off, you get a lot of unique content. But second off, your readers see it's like, oh, this person actually has the product and used the product, and here are the images, because they're not like the nice fancy professional photos from the merchant on Amazon. So I do that quite a bit as well. I love being able to use my own photos, but stock photo sites are great. I use Shutterstock, but there's some free ones out there.
Very cool. And I learned something here, which is obvious, the right aligning or left aligning of images. So I still do that a little bit, but yeah, you're 100% right. I definitely have seen it where I have poorly formatted for like a phone or just a different display that's not like super wide. So I kind of remember to change that. And then, another note for the, like, not custom images, but images that you have taken yourself. I think iPhones are pretty darn good these days. I mean, they're way better than like the cameras that I had that were very expensive, 10 years ago. And if you can get the lighting like right, usually your picture is going to be pretty darn good, and it looks authentic. It looks real. People will trust your content a little bit more if they're like, oh, they have the product right there. So very good. And for me, like I guess you've done some some video, and you have like camera gear and all this stuff. Like I just like the gear too, and I like to take pictures. So it's kind of a fun way to actually like mix the hobby with a way to make money, and it all works together well. So
yeah, if you're into it, it's great. Lucky you. I'm not particularly into the gear, but I have no choice but to be.
Yeah. What is it that you don't like? Just curious.
Figuring it out. I'm not very good at reading instructions. I don't like trying to figure out new stuff. And then, all the different, the post-production stuff, the editing, and it's very, very time consuming, tedious. I don't care for any of it. I like writing. I got into this because I liked writing. I wrote all my stuff for years. I still like writing. I still write, but I realize that podcasts and videos are enormously popular, and so I got to play ball. But at the end of the day, for me, it's writing. I like to write. So
very good, very good. Okay, and we'll shift gears into the last topic here, and this is about how to use simple statistics to publish fascinating link bait type articles. So basically, you've come up with a way to get links in a very natural way. So can you kind of explain the concept, and then maybe any like just generic examples if you can come up with one?
Yeah, sure. I love statistics and facts, and I try to put them in a lot of content, and I instruct writers that I hire to do that. And they're so easy to find. They're all over. One of my favorite sites is I think it's statista.com. Check that out. That thing is a goldmine. I'm probably going to pull the trigger in and subscribe to that. But when they have statistics and data on anything you could imagine, but like you can often like look at a company's financial report. They come out or annual report, loads of information with interesting stuff, whatever. It's all out there. Anyways, I mean, you find an interesting statistic or a data point, and you try to use it as a foundation for an interesting article. So, for instance, what did I read recently? Something about, I don't know how many billions in Nike shoes are sold every year. And you could take that and use that as a foundation for an article, or just as part of an article. Or you can compile a bunch of statistics if they're related into tables and create cool charts. And this will also attract links. The whole point is that other website publishers like to do this, and they will source various statistics. I typically source with a link Statista, or wherever I get this information with a link. But I just find that you can add a lot of engaging and link-worthy content if you get some interesting statistics and data, and I use them quite a bit. And here's the best data you can get. You need traffic for your site, but put polls on your site, and like it can be like, you know, those hot or not things, you know, where it's like you could have like compare two things, right? Like, do you like Nike or Adidas? That's it. That's the question. Click the button. And let's say you get 300 responses. You now have a really good data set, right? Like you could say, okay, well, mysite.com readers love Nike way more than Adidas. Here's the chart. Here's the information. It's a data set, and it's legitimate, and it's good. And that would be a primary source. You don't have to reference anything. And guess what? You might, if you put it up in a nice little chart or table or bar graph or something, somebody might take that and put it on their site and link to you, or just link to you. And it's stuff like this that can help really build up your authority of your site.
Great idea. I've heard of like similar sort of, I guess, statistical gathering. So like you said, you have a primary source, other people are going to be interested, news sources may be interested, right? If it's sort of a hotter topic, you can get cited, maybe even get an interview. I'm making a lot of leaps here, but I mean, if you do a few of these, the chances go up. So, and
do lots of them. I mean,
cool.
How hard is it? Again, you need traffic, unfortunately, but I mean, you know, a lot of people listening to and watching this are going to have traffic to their sites. Put up polls, and if you have categories on your site, create different polls for different categories that would resonate with your visitors, and let them run for a month. Then go check out the data. So if you've got 10 polls running, and ultimately you're going to end up with enough data points or responses to actually create a good chart, you now can put 10 charts out on your site. And let's say each one of those in the next 3 months gets one link back to your site. Basically, for no cost and almost no time, you've been able to get 10 backlinks to your site, if probably from good sites, right? Because these are sites that are creating good content and they're actually referencing you, so they're legit. They probably have real traffic. These are the golden links. And if you had to outsource or pay for those links via guest posting or whatnot, well, 10 of those would probably cost you north of $2,000 to $3,000, maybe more. It is a no-brainer. And but it's a numbers game, right? You just got to put the stuff out there. Like, don't do one poll with one chart and expect that you're going to get 1,000 inbound links. It's not going to happen. But you put out 100 charts, and over the months, you're going to attract inbound links. And they're free, and it's almost no time. And plus, you provide really good content on your site.
So do you have like these running on some of your very high traffic sites, like kind of all the time, just because there's so many visitors?
On and off, yeah. It's I kind of get inspired. I do a bunch, and then I create them, and then I will put them out there, and then I'll kind of stop, and then I'll do it again. So yeah, I mean, I've got probably like hundreds in my poll creation account, like with thousands of responses. Now, I haven't even published them all yet. I mean, I got to get to it, but they're there, and the data's there, and it's just another opportunity to put out really good content. I do quite a few other things in terms of creating what I call Linkbait content. So that's just one of them. There's quite a bit of others that I'm doing right now. Basically, Linkbait content is creating content that is both really good, but also seems to attract a lot of links. That's where the images come in, but particularly like images or screenshots of charts and graphs and data Illustrations are gold, and like you can get custom illustrations done, which is actually where I'm focusing right now. I'm doing like literally dozens of really cool custom illustrations. These things get ripped off in droves, and then all the links come back to my site. But they take 2 to 3 weeks to create. A full-time graphic designer, but one of those can actually really knock it out of the park with. I don't even have to do outreach, like, you know, the usual infographic, you know, oh, I got this cool infographic, you got to contact 1,000 people, put it on your site and link to me. I mean, like, I tried that and it was a total bust. So now I just create really cool illustrations within a niche, and people just take them, and they don't ask, they take. That's cool. That's why it's there. Take it and link to me.
Those are awesome tips, especially for the, you know, like link building for the non-link builder, like that. Maybe you can use that as a title for something, John, if you want to, because I think that's pretty good a title, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, it is.
You gotta maybe spice it up a bit. I'm not sure. You won't believe number 5 or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, John, thanks a lot for your time today. People could find you at Fat Stacks. You have a podcast. Anything else that you want people to check out to go find you?
Fatstacksblog.com is the best place to see what I'm doing. I've got a variety of courses that cover they're broken up really into very topical areas. So there is one specifically on the whole link building for non-link builders. It's not that title, but cover everything. Newsletter, podcast, yeah, fatstacksblog.com.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, John.
Hey, thanks, Doug.